beautiful out here. Some of these trees are just gorgeous. Each one has its own personality, like a person. I have to be careful I don't step on an ant pile, because you could be standing here just talking and look down and see your foot engulfed by little ants. Very pretty out here today. I like this collection of trees over here and the shadow that comes from them. This little spot over here always intrigues me, whether I'm looking at it from the left or the right. In other words, from the entrance over there or this entrance over here. This is where horses walk by. That's why the ground is so beaten down like that, because this is a horse park. But if you come into this little area here, unfortunately these poor trees are mutilated because they have to put the power wires right over the top of them. If you come over here, depending on what the sun is doing, you get some very interesting views over here. Sometimes the sun is throwing shadows across here and it's beautiful, especially at sundown, and vice versa. When the sun is coming up, the shadows come this way. And it's very interesting with a really beautiful golden glow or a pinkish glow. The weather is in the high 70s right now. And aside from getting a bunch of sand in my flip-flops, I'm looking for interesting shapes. It's not that I'm trying to find the perfect tree or the perfect setup in a picture, but I'm looking for shapes that are interesting if I squint my eyes. So if I break all of these little photos I'm going to take down to thumbnails, before I ever decide to paint any of them, I just look at the shape of the thumbnail. It's kind of like doing a little notan or a thumbnail sketch, but you can use your phone for the same thing. Well, I thought that was a squirrel, but it's actually, I think, a blue jay up there screeching at me. I'm sorry. I'll be gone in a second. Don't peck my head, please. Okay, I've gotten all I need, and I'm on my way back home again if I don't get run down by a car. Just grabbed a couple of concepts. They may not work out, but they might. And yes, I got to actually be there in the park, see the true colors, see if the colors I'm looking at with my eyes are the same as the colors that come through on my phone. If not, I can adjust them if I want to. Or if I don't think the colors that are the true colors enhance my painting, I may actually alter them. And that's okay too. Well, let's get inside and see what we've got. Okay, here I am at home, and I've gotten some of my favorite thumbnails. I'm looking at them, trying to decide which ones I think have the best shape, the most interesting shapes. I've whittled it down to these 4, and then I've finally decided on this one that is coming up right there. But I don't want all that detail in there. It's too much for me. So I went into my Procreate and I simplified it and simplified some of the colors that I want in it. Of course, it's not going to look exactly like this, but this gives me an idea of what I want to paint as an expressionistic painting. So what I have here is I'm only painting in this middle section here. It's approximately 8 by 10. This thing is a lifesaver for me. It has a spot for very small, medium, and large tops if you're trying to get them off, which I'm always struggling with because I'm a weakling. So I need some help sometimes. You could use a plier. That would work just as well, but this is kind of convenient. The right size, strong enough. I'm sure it'll last a lifetime. Got this from Strada easel. This is a little bit of a mess because I refurbished it with some new paints on top of some old paints. I'm just using a nice big one of these throwaway easels inside my Stay Wet easel because it helps to keep it wet for a very long time, but I don't have to go through the trouble of scraping it all off. I can just throw this in the garbage when I'm done with it. In the meantime, what I have for colors here, I have some primary yellow, some Naples yellow, some ultramarine blue, some rose madder deep, some primary green deep, and just some white. And those are going to be the majority of the colors I'm using for this whole very simple painting. So to start with, I want to place the tree. And I'll be starting out a little darker than it actually will be. I'll basically be going over this with the sky color and the background colors, but I want to place it in there so I have a good concept of where I want it to end up. Even if it gets wiped out, I'll go over it again. Horizon line can be way up high or way down low. I didn't want it right in the middle, so I put it down a little lower. And that seems to work out. Be careful not to crash it into the fence line because that gets confusing to people's eyes and they're not sure what they're looking at. Get a basic wash in for the sky here. Yes, here we go. We're going right over the tree. You can sort of see it still, but it's not really important. I'll be putting all these colors back on later, thicker, making sky holes and whatnot. But I just want some coverage for now. More yellow in it and a little more white for the horizon line. A little bit of the green where the trees are back there. Just setting the table for what I'll be serving later. Now I'm going to go in here and adjust the colors, lighten this up, put a little more detail back here. I'm going to go in and put more branches in the tree. I'm going to put this in with some light side and dark side so you see some dimension in the posts of the fence. Adjust the colors, but basically that is the block in. See, got a couple of coats on. Now I'm starting to get a little thicker here. Some of these marks might be my final marks. And those are important. The rhythm of application. So we'll reinforce the dark side of the tree, some of the lighter branches, the dark part on the fence next to the light part on the fence, which gives the whole thing some dimension. The lighter bushes in the back with some darker undergrowth. And then we'll put some blue in those shadows and a little bit more detail, and that's all I want to do in this painting. So you have to decide how much detail you want in your painting. You could put a lot of detail or you could put just a little. And believe me, I paint both ways. But today, this is what I felt like doing. Even if you want to be playful and pick colors that aren't necessarily realistic, they should still have the same value, the same lightness and darkness as the real colors have. That way, your painting will have the correct dimension, the correct perspective, whether you're doing a portrait or you're doing a tree. I want those lights in the tree to take me all the way up there. That's better. I need that dark saying, look this way, look this way. I think that'll do her. So when we look at this black and white side by side, the left one that I painted, the right one that I took from the photograph, you see how I adjusted my photo. I put in less darks in the horizon area at the base of the trees in the back because I wanted them to be subdued. I decided to tone down my shadows because they were just distracting me and detracting from my focal point, which was the light on the trees. I moved my horizon line up, and in fact, the photo I took this from was in a landscape shape, and I moved it to a portrait shape. So you make those artistic choices when you paint something. But the bottom line is the light and the dark area on the tree and the part that I felt was important, you follow and try to get those values correct so that your painting has the emphasis that you want it to have. I removed the bright road and just put in a yellow strip there. So edit your photographs so that your paintings are successful, but pay attention closely to values. All done. Hopefully those lights up in the trees are drawing you into that center there where the sun is coming from up above, straight up above. The fence is bringing you into the tree. The roots are extending out from the tree, so it's like one unit, one subject, with the focal point being the light in the tree. Some of the colors are surreal, but that's how I wanted it. Could have painted this lots of different ways. Could have put the whole sky and background in first and worked my way from the top to the bottom. I might try that next time. I used to paint that way all the time. But for some reason, I just wanted to place the tree so I knew where it was going to go before I started. And I messed with those roots of the trees, how dark they should be, how blue they should be, because I want them to appear as a shadow, not roots on the bottom of the soil. But there are some roots on the bottom of the soil. So some are shadows and some are roots. Some's debris. Basically using just those 5 colors, 6 colors, and trying to make them harmonious in the painting, bringing up some of the colors from here into the fence, bringing some of the greens into the tree, making the whole painting harmonize. This is sort of an expressionistic painting. It is not a photorealistic painting, but it expressed the joy I felt out in the fresh air with the sunshine and the awe I felt when I saw it sparkling through the tops of this tree. I hope you all enjoyed, everyone. I'll see you next time, and remember, you can paint too.